Hello, OT friends, and welcome to the Uncommon OT series. I'm Patricia Modis, and I'm your host. A Filipino-American, native New Yorker, current California transplant, bulldog mama, and an uncommon occupational therapist myself for the past 22 years. On this podcast, you will hear me proudly feature the unique careers of occupational therapy practitioners working in non-traditional and role-emerging practice areas, settings where OT is uncommon. Be inspired as you listen to these up-close conversations and be energized and motivated to follow in these unconventional paths. Happy listening, friends. I'm very excited to introduce you to today's guest of honor, Amanda Piepgras. Amanda is a certified occupational therapy assistant who uses adaptive martial arts and self-defense in her occupational therapy work. She is an OT originally from New York and moved to San Diego in 2015 and has been working with children with special needs since 1999, beginning her career as a teacher assistant at a preschool that her sister attended as a child with Spina Bifida. It has been her dream for years to combine her love of martial arts with her passion of working with children with special needs, whether it's autism, Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, spina bifida, learning disabilities, hearing or vision deficits. Amanda has studied karate, Muay Thai, and Jiu-Jitsu since 2006 and has competed in kickboxing and grappling on an amateur level. Coaching is her passion, and she believes martial arts has many benefits to all children, but particularly children who have difficulties with sensory processing, attention span, focusing on tasks, impulse control, body awareness, and low muscle strength. Amanda has taught adaptive martial arts and self-defense at South East Consortium for Special Services, Inc., We Rock the Spectrum, Gigi's Playhouse, the Challenge Center, and various martial arts gyms around San Diego. So without further ado, I'd like to present to you Amanda Piepgras. Welcome, Amanda.
Thanks, Patricia.
So happy to have you here and so excited to hear more about the uncommon OT work that you do. Before we delve into all of that, I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about your background. Tell us a little bit about you.
So I grew up in New York, in the Bronx.
Ah, woohoo! The boogie down. You know I'm a native New Yorker too, right?
I figured that because your number is 917.
Yes, I'm keeping that area code for life.
Me too. So yeah, as I said, I have a sister with spina bifida. Kind of led me towards this career as an occupational therapy assistant. I started as a teacher assistant at United Cerebral Palsy, and I just really loved the work, and I felt like I was good at it. So I let the OTs that I worked with kind of gently nudge me towards going back to school, and I've been grateful to them ever since because I love being a COTA.
Oh, fantastic. My first job out of OT school was actually at United Cerebral Palsy, the one on 23rd Street in Manhattan. And I absolutely loved that job.
Yeah, it's a great place to work. And the director that I worked with was the same director that was there when my sister went to school there. People there are just dedicated. They stay there forever.
It was a wonderful place to work and just to sort of, the environment, so supportive and staff-wise and client-wise. It was such a community. I absolutely loved it. I left because of an OT job actually in mental health that I was really, passionate about. So other than that, I probably would have stayed there too. But
yeah.
Great. So thanks for, letting us know kind of how you found OT. I love that, that it's sort of, so close to home for you, right? Like you really saw the value of OT where your sister received her services and kind of led you to, going to OT school and pursuing that. What then happened? What were the next steps after that?
After I went to OT school, I was working with kids for many years, and I love working in pediatrics. Once I started doing martial arts, I started to see that there's so many benefits to it, and it just made sense to combine the two things to make martial arts available to kids with special needs.
Yes. Was there any particular motivation for doing this type of work aside from, having your sister with a disability kind of go through the system?
Well, just because there were so many benefits for me as an individual, and everybody that I trained with also would report that, their anxiety was decreasing and their depression was better and their attention span was better. It just, like I said, it made sense to make it available to kids. And one of the black belts that I trained with said that they used to do one-to-one classes for kids with autism. He wasn't sure why they stopped. I just thought it was a great idea. And he said most of the kids really loved it.
Oh, great. So did that propel you to sort of,
Right. And then I had a friend who worked for South East Consortium, which is a great program. He's a recreation therapist, and they would set up sports programs for kids with special needs, and their karate instructor left. So he asked me if I would come on board. And since we had already talked about it, of course, I was enthusiastic. Mm-hmm. So that was my first chance to give it a try. And I just loved it right away. I knew that was what I was meant to do for the rest of my life.
Oh, that's fantastic. What a great opportunity. And I'm so glad you jumped at the chance. Can you tell us more about the uncommon OT work that you do? Kind of where you do this type of work? Who do you offer the services to? Right? And what kinds of needs do you address?
Well, funny enough, the lockdown is actually kind of what inspired me to start this as an actual business, because I've always taught classes here and there, but a lot of parents were messaging me, asking me about my classes during the lockdown because their kids were cooped up in the house. Oh. They weren't even going to school.
Got it.
And at that time, I was like, I had one location to teach at, and I had one assistant, so I knew that wasn't going to be enough. Mm-hmm. So I was thinking of investing in a gym, and I talked to a couple of my friends who have done, similar types of things, open gyms or started nonprofits, and they all told me that it would probably be better to find multiple locations that I can just rent out. So I decided to give that a try, and it was actually really easy to find locations. When I explained to people what I wanted to do and told them that I was so passionate about it, they wanted to help. Yeah, I feel like people want to help you when you're trying to do something great.
I agree with that too. It's almost like positive breeds positive, right? It's contagious.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. And everybody wanted to give advice as well. So that was helpful because I had never started a business before. So I'm new to this.
Wow. So, okay. So here you are, you found a gym, and this is where you offer your services, right? Who do you offer your services to?
I have a Cubs class for kids ages 2 to 5, and I have a kids class ages 5 and up. I haven't had to cap it yet, but I would probably cap it at 18.
Okay. Is that 18, 18 students per class?
18 years old, I mean.
Oh, 18 years old. Okay. I was... So 5 and up, right? So right now, what is your range? I'm curious how wide the range is of this.
So I have a few Cubs right now that are around 4 years old, and then I think my oldest student is 12.
What kinds of needs do you address with these kids?
I work on a lot of socialization, motor planning for sure, following directions, attention span, mostly just teaching them martial arts is about respect, and we have to respect each other in this class. We're teammates. We all work together. We all build each other up. We all make each other better. Yes. Those are my main focuses.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot of regulation stuff that you do too. And I definitely want to
put in some sensory integration as well, because I'm an OT and that's what we do.
Yes. And I definitely want to hear more specifically about what, these classes and sessions look like. But before we get there, I know you talked a little bit about your path, right? How you got there and how you got involved with the consortium. And it was a great opportunity for you to be able to do that. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? How did you start, right? Like, did you start with a group? Did you start with just sort of a demo session? How did that get started?
Well, the karate class had already been in place at South East Consortium. The instructor was moving out of the state, and so they just wanted to replace the instructor. And it was a great class. Kids with autism, kids with Down syndrome, a couple of kids with cerebral palsy, just a great group. And they had already been learning from the other instructor. So I just jumped in and kind of followed his routine, but made it my own.
Yes. Was the other instructor an OT as well, or?
No.
No. Okay. So you kind of put your OT spin and your OT lens into things.
It's hard not to. I put my OT lens on everything.
I get it. All right. So tell us more. What did you do? How did you, what did your OT lens do to this program?
So I made it, of course, martial arts is about learning how to fight and learning how to defend yourself. But I also tried to put in some strengthening. I tried to put in some games that were team building, like I said, motor planning. And I also do agility drills, because I feel like that's really good for these kids to learn motor planning and attention span.
So the class was already in place, and you basically took over. And what was this like? Was it, can you describe to us what the class was like? Was it a 1 hour thing? How many students would you have in each class? And what types of things would you focus on?
That class was an hour a week. Started out doing some drills, warm-ups first, obviously, and then drills. And I did have 3 assistants in that class. One of them was an older man with Down syndrome who had a black belt. And then 2 of them were young teenagers who didn't have any fighting experience, but they worked for South East Consortium, so they knew all the kids really well. Okay. So that was helpful. And they jumped into class and learned some stuff as well.
Oh, fantastic.
So after drills, then we would do a game and then some strength training and then another game. Try to keep it fun, try to break things up. And that's still how I run my classes. I still use that same format, because if it's not broken, why fix it?
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, this might be a good way to segue into that now. So that's how it kind of started, right? And today, can you talk to us a little bit about, kind of like what a typical session might be like? Is there an assessment process that you kind of go through when when you're screening a potential student, right? Like, how do you get your referrals? I know that's a lot of questions, so you pick wherever you want to start.
I started out just advertising on Facebook and some groups for autistic parents. And I don't do any kind of screening process before the kid tries the class. I accept everybody. If it doesn't work out, that's fine, but that's up to the parent to decide. But the first class is free, so the kid can try it out and the parents can decide if this is something that's going to be beneficial for their child. And now I'm getting referrals from people that I've trained with. I'm getting referrals from other therapists. I'm getting referrals from people in school districts who just heard about me from parents whose kids are in my class. So now I'm starting to get referrals from everywhere, which is nice. It's snowballing.
Congrats, Amanda. That's amazing. So you're not short on referrals, is basically what you're saying.
Oh no, there's new ones every day. But martial arts takes a lot of discipline, and now I have to count on the parents' discipline to bring the kids. So there are always going to be people who sign up and then just kind of stop coming.
Yes, but I would imagine that the kids would be more enthusiastic about coming to your class than, I don't know, typical sensory gym, right? Not to, I'm sure there's amazing sensory gyms out there, but it's more, the occupation. Again, we're talking about this particular occupation of martial arts, right?
Right. Well, the parents all tell me that the kids are excited to come to my class, and that makes me really happy. I'm glad that they enjoy it. It's not just hard work, it's also fun.
So there isn't necessarily a screening process, but kind of, putting on your OT lens once they come in for their first free class. What types of things are you looking at?
I'm looking to see how well they can follow directions. I'm looking to see how well they move. I'm looking to see how well they move for multi-step directions. I'm looking for any, self-stimulatory behavior, how well they socialize with the other kids, how well they pay attention.
Is safety ever kind of an issue?
It has been at different times, yes. Kids with autism, some of them like to run. I try to keep my classrooms closed and safe, let the parents know that they can stay if they feel like their child needs a little bit of extra attention. Some parents even jump into the class, which I encourage. Kids need that one-on-one attention, and I can't always give it to them because I have a whole class to attend to.
Yes.
And then there's also some kids who just don't realize where their bodies are in space, and they kind of just throw themselves on the other kids. So I just try to make them aware of that.
Yes, that's part of it. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for
Let's
sharing.
not hurt each other. It's very important that we're all safe in this class and we don't end up in the ER.
Absolutely. I guess on that note, are there any, and I have no idea if this is more on the business end of things, but are there any special sort of liability insurances that you have to have because of the activity, right? That you're having the kids engage in?
Yes, I absolutely have liability insurance. I have regular martial arts liability insurance because when I called the company, they were like, oh, well, we've never insured somebody for this before. And I also add all the gyms that I rent onto it as additional insured. So everybody's covered.
Is there anything else about your typical day that you'd like to share?
I don't have any typical days. Running a business is hard work, and I'm still working as a COTA. I work PRN in some nursing facilities around town just to keep money coming in, pay my bills, because most of my business money is going right back into the business to help it grow. So I'm still working PRN. So some days I have to work, some days I have a million errands to run for my business. Right now I'm working on a fundraiser that's happening on Sunday. So that's been a lot of work. I do all my own accounting. I do all my own promoting. And right now I'm looking to find another assistant because the one that I have, he's only available a couple of days a week. So it'd be nice to have somebody else because then I can add more kids.
Do you ever look for, OT interns or, maybe connecting with an OT program who can potentially send you interns who can...
I haven't looked into it, but that's a great idea. I would love to have another OT or OT student to help out.
Oh, gosh. Okay, so we'll talk after this interview about, certain schools that you can potentially connect with, right? Schools are always looking for fieldwork placements and particularly non-traditional ones, which is what you would be offering, right? So definitely lots there to see, and I'm so happy to hear just the growth of your venture, right? And how, you started talking about how the lockdown is really what brought you to, it instigated it, right, for you, getting this business started. And, here we are 2 years post-lockdown, right? And here you are at your point in your business. And I know that you're doing your PRN thing too, and I really appreciate you sharing that because I think for our listeners, it's also important to hear that it's not just about, jumping into your own business and then everything's going to be fine and dandy. You kind of there's going to be a period where there's going to be a juggle, right? Where you're doing a little bit of everything, but I feel that that's part of the beauty of being an OT is we have the ability to be able to do that should we need to.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I always tell people that being a COTA is amazing because I can work as much or as little as I need to or want to. And even if I was in the position to quit working PRN, I think I would still do it just because I enjoy it.
There you go.
The atmosphere. I enjoy working with PTs and speech, and I enjoy working with clients, and it makes me happy to help people.
Yes. And do you work with adults in your PRN work, or do you work in pediatrics too?
I don't work in pediatrics at the moment, just SNFs. Yeah.
Okay. So
geriatrics.
With my previous guests, like this always comes up too, because everyone's doing something different. Like everyone always has their hand in something, right? And I talk about like filling our our cups. Like we have a bunch of OT cups, and we can actually take the time and fill each of those cups based on the different extracurricular OT things that we do.
Yeah, it's true. That's one of the great things about this profession.
And it sounds like you're filling your cups quite well by being able to, do what you're doing. I love that you said that, you'd probably still be doing PRN work anyway, right?
Yeah, because I just really enjoy it. And PRN work is super flexible, so that's nice.
It is. Oh, that's great. So thanks for sharing some of that with us. Can you share with us some of the things? Is there anything that you try to continue to learn? I mean, you're in such a specific kind of subspecialty. Is there anything that you continue to try to learn just in order to stay on top of the things that you need to do within your role, right? Are there any like special martial arts classes, like adaptive martial arts kinds of things?
Yeah, so that's another thing that I spend a lot of time doing is networking. I try to find other people because there are other people out there doing similar things as what I'm doing. And some of them are really happy to meet with me, let me watch their class and share ideas. Mm-hmm. So I do spend time looking for people, like-minded people yes. who would like to do that sort of thing. And I'm always open to collaborations. If you teach a different discipline than I do, that doesn't matter to me. I'm always willing to learn. I'm always willing to help you learn. I feel like it benefits the kids. It benefits me as an instructor. Mm-hmm. So win all around.
Can you share with us some recent challenges that you've had and, maybe some recent successes, some lows and then some highs that you've had recently in your role?
Yeah. So like I said, starting a business is brand new to me and I've had to learn a lot of things.
Yes.
Waiting on the IRS to approve my nonprofit application has been tough. They're moving at a snail's pace, but I guess most businesses are these days. Also, I've learned a lot about myself. And one of the things I've learned is I don't like sales and I don't like being pushy. So my coach, he owns the gym where I train. He's mm-hmm. always telling me to keep calling people. You have to keep, on them and asking them if they're interested in coming to take a class. And that's been a challenge for me. And like I said, sales, I'm not good at it, I don't think.
Well, you're doing a great job right here, right now. I mean, what you're doing today is talking about your work, right? You're talking about your business. You're talking about your passion and bridging that, with your entrepreneurial experience. I think you're making your way there in terms of feeling more comfortable about talking about the work that you do, right? This also comes up on the show a lot in terms of, OTs we're not built to be entrepreneurs, right? We're built to serve the needs of individuals. So we're used to these individuals just being handed to us, right? We're not used to having to seek out these individuals. But again, we're working in uncommon territories here where referrals are different, right? Let's just say that. And it seems that, you've even surpassed that hurdle. Like the first hurdle would be, how do I get people? How do I get referrals? Now you're getting referrals. You've got them.
Right.
Now it's just doing the actual work. So congrats to you on that.
Thank you. And the work is paying off. Like I said, I'm meeting a lot of people who are interested in what I'm doing, who are doing similar things, who want to do collaborations. I have a bunch of really wonderful kids in my classes, and their parents are amazing, and they always are asking me how they can help, which is really nice. They know I'm trying to build my business still, and they want to see me succeed. So that means a lot. Also, my friends, I can't stop them from helping me. They're just always trying to help, which is great. For my fundraiser, I didn't even need to look for volunteers. Everybody just was like, what time should I be there, and what do you want me to do? So that's nice.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, that says a lot about you, right? And your ability to rally people for a common cause, right? And they also have seen your value. They've seen the impact that you can make on these kids' lives. And I bet that is a giant reason why they're super supportive of you and your endeavors.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're doing really amazing things.
Hard.
You're working really hard. So can we switch gears a little bit and talk about money matters, right? Because now that we're talking about work a little bit, how does this work? How do you get paid for the work that you're doing?
So the parents pay privately. It's all out of pocket. I have subscriptions set up for all of them, so they don't have to worry about paying me monthly. It just comes straight out of their accounts. I try to keep it on a sliding scale because I don't want to turn anybody away because they can't afford it, which would be easier if I had nonprofit status. But I'm not afraid to do some fundraising. I'll put in the hard work to raise money. That's fine with me. But I would really love to apply for some grants.
Yes.
If I could, just so I can keep making it available to everybody.
I love that. And I truly believe, Amanda, that that's just, it's just a matter of time until that happens, right? And the IRS people will get their paperwork together, their clerical department together, right? But I think that's just a matter of time. And I think that this is something that's, definitely going to be a part of your future. And I love that you're offering the sliding scale. Can you give us an idea? Like, what is a subscription? Is it a monthly subscription? And what does a typical subscription cost for parents?
It is a monthly subscription, and I have classes in different locations. The parents are completely welcome to bring their kids to multiple locations if they want them to take more than one class a week. Some parents take full advantage of that, and they bring their kids 3 times a week to different locations, and I'm happy to have them there.
Is that the most they can do, is 3 times a week?
No, they can do 6 times a week because that's how many times a week I teach.
Okay, wow, okay.
I've recently had to raise my rates just because some of the new facilities that I've been renting charge a little more, but it's been working out great, so it's worth charging a little extra money to get those places.
So what is your monthly subscription? Like
right
average?
Now it's $150 a month for one kid, and then half off for each additional sibling.
Okay.
Because I encourage parents to bring multiple kids.
Yes.
If you have 2 or 3 kids at home, I found that a lot of kids, especially with autism, work better if their siblings are also in the class. They feel more comfortable.
Got it. I love that you have that discount plan for the second child and the third child.
And if they're neurotypical, that's fine. Everybody's welcome.
I love it. Okay, great. So thank you for sharing your pricing and also kind of how you structure, the classes, right? So kids can come up to 6 days a week, and then there's sort of like this monthly price, right? And how long can they stay? How long are your classes for?
The classes are an hour. The Cubs classes are half an hour because those kids tend to have a shorter attention span.
Yes.
But they're a little more intense. We do a lot more physical work because I find that the younger kids respond well to that.
Okay. Can you briefly tell us a little bit about the structure? Just like, how does the group, what does a typical group look like? What is the structure like? How do you start? How does it end? I want to be a fly in the wall in one of these classes.
I start out with bowing, And then warm-ups. Warm-ups are like, jumping jacks, push-ups, just basic calisthenics. I find that the kids respond really well to a routine, so I keep the warm-ups exactly the same every time.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like I said, I do some drills, shadow boxing or on pads. There's no sparring in any of my classes. Really, the sport has changed a lot when it comes to sparring ever since there's been so much research into head injuries.
Mm-hmm.
So there's fewer and fewer people who do martial arts who spar on a regular basis because of that.
Okay.
Which I think is a good thing. I think it's important to not get brain damage.
Yes. I agree.
So we do the drills and then, short break and then strengthening and then a game and then agility drills, another game, and then stretching. Always stretch at every class. Mm-hmm. And then we bow and say goodbye. Everybody has to give each other a fist bump.
Sounds super structured. But I also see how, because of that structure, that's kind of where you're incorporating the discipline and sort of like the self-esteem building stuff.
Right. Plus, like I said, the kids respond really well to routine. Mm-hmm. Although every once in a while I try to surprise them with something new, usually a new game or something.
Okay. And how does that usually go? Do they like it, or how do they respond to that?
Oh, yeah. They like everything I throw at them. I feel like once the kids get to know me, then they're going to want to please, Yeah, so they're going to do their best to do what I ask them to do.
It sounds like a motivated, enthusiastic bunch.
Oh, they're great. I love every one of them. I'm so proud of how far they've come.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing all of these little tidbits. Again, I would love to volunteer one day and just kind of see how this is all working out. But you've definitely given us a glimpse of, what one of your groups might look like. Are there any common myths or misconceptions about, this type of OT work that you would like to demystify today?
A lot of parents think that martial arts is going to make their children violent, and that just simply is not the case. I've never had a parent come to me and say, my child has been hitting people at home or at school. Mm-hmm. Martial arts is all about self-control. It's all about self-discipline. Mm-hmm. The kids know that they're supposed to hit the pads. They know that they can hit sensei joking around, but they don't hit each other. Yes. They understand.
Great. And I love that there's this sort of confidence building that takes place during these activities.
Confidence is generally the first thing I see increasing with the kids. They definitely start to come in standing a little taller and, oh, look at what I can do. And I earned my belt and sensei gave me a stripe on my belt because I did so well. That's a beautiful thing to see. That's one of my favorite things about teaching self-defense, actually, because I've taught self-defense in a variety of settings, and you just see that people, they come in with like a little scared, a little nervous, and they leave with their head held high. Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful thing.
And I almost forgot that we're talking about 2 to 5 year olds here, right? I know you have a 12-year-old somewhere in there too, but these are like little people doing the stuff that we're talking about. I love it.
A lot of the parents have told me that they've tried to put the kids in other activities and they just didn't have the attention span for it, and they were overstimulated by the amount of kids that were there. That's another reason why I try to keep my classes small, so that the kids aren't intimidated as soon as they walk in the door.
Okay. How large are your classes, or how small are your classes?
I try to keep a 6-to-1 ratio. If I'm the only one teaching, then I cap the class at 6. But if I have an assistant, then I can grow the class to 12.
Okay, got it. Oh, thanks so much again for the tidbits and the detailed information. If you had any career advice for any of our listeners out there, other COTAs, other OTs who may want to kind of bridge their martial arts or self-defense experiences into their OT work, do you have any advice for them?
My advice is just do it. Like, if it's something that you're passionate about, put all of your heart and soul into it and just make it happen. I never thought that I would be a business owner, but here I am doing it and it's going well. And it's nice. I'm really proud of myself.
Yeah, yay, so am I. Now, how can they get started? How can they get started in this path?
So I started out using the Small Business Administration website. I sat down and I really wrote out what I wanted to do, what my plan was. And like I said, I sought advice from other people who owned gyms. I sought advice from other people who had gotten nonprofit status. And they were all really happy to talk to me about it. And they were all encouraging me to do it. And that's when I realized, like, if other people believe in me, there's no reason I shouldn't believe in myself.
Absolutely. And again, Amanda, you're doing such great work. I absolutely believe in the work that you're doing, and I so look forward to having you back on the show to talk about your nonprofit.
Oh, that would be great.
In the meantime, how do our listeners find you? If they want to connect to talk about OT and martial arts, is it okay if they reach out?
Oh, absolutely. I answer emails, I answer Facebook messages, I answer Instagram messages, I answer text messages. I'm open to talking to everybody. I love networking. Like I said, I feel like it's beneficial to all involved. So yeah, I'm at amandasmartialarts.com or Amanda Piepgras at gmail.com. And you can find me on Facebook or Instagram, Amanda's Adaptive Martial Arts. And I'm especially open to talking to an OTD who might want to collect some data and maybe write an article.
Yeah, we're gonna make sure we make that happen. So once we go off the air, we will.
There's very little professional literature out there about the benefits of martial arts, and I think it's an important thing for us to talk about.
I totally agree. Another non-traditional OT setting where we can actually build some evidence and some data, right? And see how effective it is and, really just have that data there. You already know the effectiveness. You've seen it. You've seen you've seen the magic happen. It's just a matter of having someone get in there, collect this data, and use that data so that you can apply for your grants.
Exactly. And I'm willing to do the work. Just point me in the right direction.
Again, Amanda, congratulations on your accomplishments thus far. I have no doubt of, what's coming to you in the future, only positive things. And I thank you so much for taking the time to share your journey, to share your story, and just to share your path with our listeners. You're inspiring many out there. So thank you.
Thank you. You're inspiring many. I've listened to your podcast. They're amazing. I love your Instagram posts. I think it's great that you're encouraging people to think outside the OT box.
Because look at you. Look at these stories that people haven't heard of, right? So that's my own personal mission. That's my mission that brings me so much joy. Talking to you, meeting you, learning about your work. These are the things that really kind of light me up too. So just as martial arts and your business venture is having that effect on you, doing this podcast and, meeting uncommon OTs like you really sparks me up. So again, thank you for your time and for the work that you're doing. These kids, these programs are very fortunate to have your OT lens as part of their program. So congrats to that, Amanda.
Thank you.
And that wraps up another inspiring episode of the Uncommon OT series. Connect with me at www.transitionsot.com. And don't forget to sign up to be part of the Transitions OT community. By doing so, you'll receive my latest compiled list of uncommon OT practice settings, the latest news on mentoring offerings, uncommon OT live events, non-traditional OT resources, and more. You may also follow me on my social media pages on Instagram and LinkedIn. And if you love this episode, head on over to Spotify, Stitcher, Apple, and Google Podcasts to follow, rate, and leave a review. I also ask you to consider pledging your support to my Passion Podcast project by being a patron on Patreon. It is very much appreciated. Sending big OT love. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.